Hare We can continue for a little bit longer because he's still finishing a Zoom call, actually.
Where is he?
Upstairs.
Oh, he's here.
Yeah, he's here. Just call it.
I'll go bug him.
Okay, he's gonna come down as soon as he's done.
I'll go bug him.
Go ahead.
We'll go listen in. Do you want to do any icebreaker or anything?
I guess so. Why? Sure. Not everybody knows everyone. While we wait for Kalakantha Das to descend upon us, we can go around. Maybe everyone can introduce themselves. Half the group lives here, but the other half of the group is visiting, it seems. Maybe we can start with you as the lovely leader of our kirtan today.
Just share our name. Or,
whatever you'd like.
hi everyone. I'm Shamala, and I live in Gainesville. And I've been doing service for the Bhaktivedanta Institute, this institute here for several years, and I'm grateful to be part of this community.
She actually was the one who started cataloging all the books in here.
Oh my
So
goodness.
she's one of the beginners of that.
Maybe we can pass the mic around as we go. So
So she is a famous kirtaniya, and anyway, she's amazing. She helps a lot at the end, but she cataloged the library, a lot of the books. When I met her the first time, she was cataloging all the books and sorting the good books from the bad books and whatever. I don't know. I have the, you know me, but anyway, know everybody. Gandini, sorry. Gandini Desi, I'm the Associate Director of the Bhaktivedanta Institute, and I've been here now full 1 year. I just completed 1 year in here in Gainesville. So.
Beneath me is Daru Brahman.
doing general
Many years ran
introductions.
Krishna Lunch, and now he's retired from that. I'm the director of the Institute, and we have my old friend Shamakun here. Introduced.
How to introduce yourself?
He's,
I work in real estate.
and does many things and helps us out in many ways. And we have Nick, who I met, and my old friends Anna and Bill, and David here, and many of you know Henry, that's his nephew. And then Shamala is led one of the sweetest kirtans I've heard. That was really sweet, thank you. And I'll introduce our speaker. Welcome. Come have a seat. And there's more coming. And more coming. Okay.
Yeah.
Chairs in here.
This- please come and take a seat on the sofa. It's very comfortable.
Awesome. Sit wherever you're comfortable.
Here, thank you. Come here, Krishna.
Kalakantha, also known as Carl Woodham, is, we've been friends and colleagues for many decades. He took Krishna House to the next level. He's currently on the board of directors, turned the management over to others. He has set up a program to make the idea of Krishna consciousness less unique. In the 70s, being unique was something positive. Nowadays, being unique is not something positive. He said, let's make it practical. And he set up Krishna houses all over the country where young people can come, try an alternative lifestyle with no commitment. Just try it. And they almost always like it. And so they're very successful. He's also a prolific author, and out on the table here are 4 of his books, but you've done more. And a version of the Gita in rap, and other books of significance. So you're all welcome to look at the books afterwards. Without further ado, it's you're our speaker the day after the program. There'll be some snacks. I have to slip out at 12:15 to do an airport run and bring somebody back here in a diorama.
Oh, okay. Go for it.
Yeah. And then I'll come back here. Here, we'll put this on your nose and we're all set here.
I want to point out that although we've been friends and colleagues for several decades, Bob Brahmacharya has a few more decades behind him than I do, so somehow we managed. Thank you. It's good to be here. I'm pleased to talk about this subject because I have lived a kind of dual life. I'm a Gemini, so I have one foot in the ordinary course of things and another foot in my spiritual life for many, many years. My ordinary life, I am a father, a grandfather. I've been married for 44 years to the same woman. We have done things in the business world a little bit on the side. I have served as a mediator in the Florida State Court system and taught mediation here in Gainesville to police and other groups. I have served as a town councilman in the metropolis of La Crosse, Florida. One of the, actually it's the smallest municipality in the state. I won the election by a vote. First time, then I lost the second time because my wife didn't vote for me.
That's the truth.
Which is why I came to Krishna House. On the spiritual side, I've been practicing Bhakti Yoga since 1972. I was a seeker in my teens, and when I encountered the teachings of my teacher, Srila Prabhupada, it just really resonated with me, particularly because it was something very tangible. He taught what he calls the techniques of spiritual life, and in my studies of Buddhism and Christianity and many other traditions, it's kind of like trying to nail gelatin on the wall, then nothing would stick. And in Bhakti, I found something so tangible that it really resonated with me, and it's been a lifelong passion and joy practicing and teaching. So that's a little of my background. I just wanted to get an idea from you what you would like from this class, because we could take it in different directions, like what does it mean to be spiritual in general? And if you are practicing spirituality, how much interaction do you have with the ordinary course of life? What's a good balance? Are they mutually exclusive? Does it mean you like it said about Gandhi, some people said he was a saint among the politicians, and some said he was a politician amongst the saints. So which way does it roll, and how do we find the proper balance in our lives? So it would help me a lot if anyone would like to share, 2, 3, 4 of you, just what would you like to know about this topic of being in the world but not of it? Anyone like to share? And please just, we're friends here, so just fill it on. Okay?
I'd like to know, while being here in this world and also in the spiritual world, in the grand perspective, how would you defer good from bad versus in reality where there's no, I guess there's no such thing as good or bad in the grand perspective of quantum physics, but in the small realm and the realm that we live in now, how would you defer it versus towards the latter?
A very nice and rich question. May we start with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So in other words, there are things that are good in the world that may not be seen as good spiritually or vice versa. So what is there an absolute good? Yes, the I'm remembering when I was a member of the Chaplains Council at the University of Florida, we were from the Bhakti Yoga school, we would go on our breaks, we'd go out and do things that would be spiritually uplifting for the students, like traveling and hearing from other teachers or in holy places. That would be our break activity. The other chaplains, for their break activity, their students would go and build homes in Haiti or help with recovery from natural disasters in different places, do things for helping people in their lives. So I always felt a little bit unbalanced when we give our reports. What did you do during the break? When we talk about being a spiritual person in this world, first we have to understand this puts us in a minority if we are actually on the spiritual path. And this is not just in our particular yogic or Indic traditions, but in all religious traditions. I was reading about, St. Thomas Aquinas. His family was very frustrated with his career choices to the point where they pulled him out of the monastery and tried to get him to live an ordinary life for a while. St. Francis, similar thing. Buddha, right? He renounced his princely, Siddhartha, he renounced his princely life to understand truth. So my father used to say, when you're packing the trunk for a trip, put the biggest suitcase in first. So what is the biggest suitcase in our life? This is really what it boils down to. And in the famous spiritual text Bhagavad Gita, there's a verse which says that amongst 1,000 people, hardly one is interested to put spirituality as the biggest suitcase in their trunk. So it'll rate somewhere in our list of priorities. So when we talk about being a spiritual person in the material world, we're really referring to those who choose to make that their primary purpose. And that is, by definition, going to give a different perspective on your question. What is good in the ordinary sense relates to the physical body, right? Like equality, compassionate work and help so that people can have a good life in this world. The spiritual perspective looks at the soul within the body and addresses that part of our existence. So it comes down to this question: do we see ourselves as our physical being, or do we see ourselves as the life that animates this physical being? So the spiritual side would say, yes, the life is actually what's important. There are many examples. So you could say if somebody dies, then the body is there at the wake, and people are feeling remorse, so you might say, well, your father's right there. Your loved one is right there. What's the problem? Right there. No, he's gone. So the body is still there, but the lovable part is gone. So when we talk about relationships, are we talking only on the physical, or are we talking on the spiritual platform? To do good for people, are we doing good for their bodies, or are we doing good for their spiritual lives? I just have to tell you, Brahmatirtha loves jokes. So I just saw this little vignette. The man is crying over they're in the morgue, and the doctor lifts up the face, and the man is crying, oh no, oh my God, what am I going to do? And the doctor very compassionately says, it seems like you and your wife are very close. He says, no, we hated each other's guts. Well, why are you crying? It's not her. So the question becomes, what is our life's priority? And can we be spiritual people with a true prioritization of spirituality and yet function in this world? Do we need to just leave it and renounce it? So is there anyone here who's not acquainted with Bhagavad Gita or who's not read it? And I don't want to put you on the spot. Okay, thank you for sharing. I just want to be able to put this in context. The Gita, is a fascinating book because among the world's 3 most widely read books, the Gita, the Quran, and the Bible, it's the shortest. It's only 10% the length of the Quran and 3% the length of the Bible. So it's very concise, although it can be expanded upon, like in this edition. But the whole book is a roughly 45-minute conversation between a teacher and student. And it takes place in a very intense situation. The student is a warrior, a very good warrior. And the teacher is the supreme person. He's all-knowing, and yet his friend thinks of him as a friend. So they have this interesting relationship. So the friend, the distressed warrior, says, I don't want to fight because I'm going to have to kill a bunch of people that I love. It won't be good. That would be a very wicked thing to do. Even though they have committed so many crimes against us, because they're my loved ones, if I killed them, I wouldn't be able to live in this world. So I'm not going to fight. That's how the book starts. I am not going to fight. So the teacher, Krishna, gives him the instruction, look, your nature is fighting. So that's the first thing. You're a warrior, that's what you're good at, that's what you like to do. You're going to do that anyway. Even if you have this notion of wanting to renounce. So this is the first lesson of the Gita, that being a spiritual person does not mean like giving up on this world. It doesn't mean running away from the world. When the student wants to run away, he is chastised by the teacher. No, what's that going to do? That's just going to make you can run away from your problem, but the problem's still going to be with you. Have you ever experienced this? Like you have maybe a conflict with somebody, and you think, I just don't want to see this person. But the feelings still stay with you. It's not like just getting rid of the person gets rid of the problem. Right? So that's where the Gita begins. You have to deal with the situation that is in front of you. So then the teacher tells the warrior, Arjuna, that you have to do your duty, but ultimately, what is your purpose? Your purpose could be seen to win the kingdom and win the battle. But if you understand the higher principle, then you'll do your duty because this will be fulfilling for your spiritual life. Okay. And he then teaches him how to connect his duty with his spiritual life. In the Sanskrit, this is called yoga. Yoga is typically thought of as like Pilates or exercise. But that's just the first step on the yoga ladder. The exercise and meditation, those just to kind of prepare you for understanding this higher principle. So in the higher principle is you can be a spiritual person if you change the purpose of your activity. So at first the warrior was thinking, I'm going to fight this to win the kingdom, it's not worth it. But by the end he understands, I'm going to do this duty because it's going to help me in my spiritual understanding and perspective on life. And so for that higher purpose, he accepts the duty. So this is the secret to being a spiritual person in the material world, is to understand the reason why we are doing what we do. Generally, we do what we do because we are obliged, because we have to keep body and soul together, because we have commitments, because we have social pressure, because we're on a course of action that we don't really know what else to do. I was reading recently that one of the main reasons that people struggle after retirement is because they just don't have anything else. They're not accustomed to anything but what they've been doing for so many years, and all of a sudden life seems so empty. I have a friend from Poland who was telling me about people in his family will carry 50-pound bales of hay on their back into their 90s, heavy loads, because whenever they stop doing that work, everyone knows they're going to die within a few months. So they'd rather just keep working. So because of this kinetic energy and this momentum, we just keep doing the same thing. So spiritual life challenges us to say, what is the real purpose of what you're doing? What are you doing it for? You're doing it for financial security? Well, okay, that'll last a while, but then what comes after that? What about that part of you that doesn't die when the body dies? And that's the first lesson of spiritual life. That I am not this body, but I am something more than this physical body. So doing good for that part of our existence is considered a higher good than just taking care of the body. Just briefly, an example of this. A man was at the beach, and a woman comes running up, my husband is drowning. Oh, don't worry, I'll save him, I'll save him. So he runs out in the surf, and he comes back with his wetsuit. Well, I got it. But wait a minute, where's my husband? Well, I couldn't get him, but I got the suit. So we might take care of somebody physically, but if their spiritual life is not started, they're just going to have to continue getting this same problem of another body in their next lifetime. This is the basic doctrine of reincarnation from the Gita, that because the soul is not material, it never dies. And so helping that part of our existence is a higher good. What do you think?
I think that was a great explanation of how to put it. I think the best line is what you said is pretty much, the intent, your motion towards a direction would be the intention is the main cause of good or bad.
Good point. Yes. This like a surgeon can use a knife to save a life. A thief will use the same knife to steal, or maybe even take a life. The knife is neutral. Okay. Any other thoughts on what this means to be in the world but not of it? Or what you might like to know about how to do that, how we can do that well.
I have a comment because one time I asked this question, how do you know that where is the boundary between material and spiritual, And one of the answers was actually not so clearly defined because it depends how you use things, So anything could be spiritualized. So there is no such a thing as material in the sense that it can be spiritualized. So I wonder if you can speak a little bit more about that aspect of it.
Can you also repeat it, the question, summarize it into the microphone for those on Zoom?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. The question is, why aren't you here in person? No. The question is, what is the difference between something that's material and something that's spiritual? And can things that are material become spiritualized? Yes, and the answer is yes. Whatever we do, whatever we eat, whatever charity we give, everything can be done as an offering to our Creator. This is the basic concept of yoga, that we are not the possessors of this world as we may think we are. Alexander the Great was such an amazing person in history. He was a prince from an obscure province of Greece, Macedonia. It was like really in the boonies. And he managed to leverage and manipulate and through superior tactics, he conquered this huge Persian empire that was next door. Nobody ever imagined that could be possible, but he did it. And then he went on conquering other countries and other nature. So then he was on top of the world, but then he contracted some disease that his physicians could not cure. So on his deathbed, he called his generals and he said, when I die, I want you to take my body and put it on a palanquin and have it carried by 8 physicians. And then behind, and my body should be laid with my palms open to the sky. And then behind the procession, throw out gold and silver and jewels to everybody who's there. So the general said, Your Majesty, whatever you say, we'll do that. But why? And he said, well, first I want people to see that although I had the best physicians in the world, they could not stop me from dying. And second, I want them to see that although I conquered the greatest kingdom in history, I am leaving this world with nothing in my hands. And thirdly, I want them to see that all the wealth and everything I accumulated was ultimately meant for others to enjoy. So this is a great lesson, that this world does not belong to us, but we think in the the movie of our life that, yeah, this is mine, and this is mine. This relationship, this possession, this country, this identity. I have all of these things. And it is like a movie in the sense that, good actors really identify with their parts, right? But in reality, when we're watching, or if it's a good movie, you identify emotionally with what's going on, whether it's humor or tragedy or horror or whatever it is, and people go for that thrill. We all like that. But in fact, we're sitting in the seat watching some pixels on a screen. That's what's really happening. But we're so much identified with it that we have this emotional reaction. So understanding that our true position is that we really own nothing, like Alexander. Whatever we may acquire, we leave with nothing. So what is the saying? There's no such thing as a U-Haul behind a hearse. Okay, I got to tell another joke for Brahmacharya. Is that all right? Do you mind? Do I have your permission?
Yes.
So this miser was dying. Never done anything for anyone, just for himself. So he called 3 religious leaders to him. He called the minister, the priest, and the Hare Krishna. So the priest and the minister, they all came together, and on his deathbed he said, I don't believe in God, but I trust you people. I think you're honest. So I want you to each make a solemn promise to me. Yes, sir, whatever you say. He gave them each a bag with $10 million in it. He said, at my funeral, I want you to come and put these bags in the casket before they close it. So they all solemnly agreed, yes, I will do that. I'll do that. So the man died shortly after the funeral came. They all came forward, put their bag in the casket. And afterwards they were talking. And the priest said, brothers, I have a confession to make. When I saw how much we need the orphanage, I just could not think that God would want me to just put this money in the casket. So I took $4 million out, we built the orphanage. And I put paper in for the rest. And then the minister was looking very guilty, and he said, brothers, I have to confess, our church needed a new roof, and we needed this extension so badly. I just could not believe God would want me to put all this money in this. So I took out $5 million for that and put in paper for the rest. And so the Hare Krishna said, well, personally, I hate to carry so much cash around, so I just put in a check.
When I heard that joke, it was a rabbi.
Better what they call self-deprecating humor. Anyway, so the point is that we leave this world with nothing, no matter how much we may plot otherwise. So spirituality means that we recognize this. It doesn't mean we have no possessions, like John Lennon, it doesn't mean that we have to walk away or even give up things. What it means is, like you said, recognizing the neutrality of everything that exists. There's an example of finding a wallet. Suppose you find a wallet in the street. So one person might say, okay, this is my lucky day. I get the money, I get the credit cards. It's in my pocket. Another person might say, oh, I don't want to be that kind of guy. I'm just going to leave it. It's not mine. I'm not going to touch it. And then the third option is, oh, this belongs to somebody else. Let me find out who is the real owner and return it. So that person is both honest and wise. Right? So similarly, we see this world. We didn't make it, but here it is. So what are we going to do with it? Oh, let me enjoy it. It's mine. Let me just make the most I can out of it. Or, nope, let me leave it alone. I renounce it. So the spiritually enlightened position is to say, this world does not belong to me. Let me use it for who it truly belongs to. So how can I use this world in God's service? This is the teaching of the Gita in terms of yoga, turning whatever we do into an offering to its creator. Okay? Thank you. Any other Thoughts, questions, reflections? Yes? Yes, sir.
A very wise person once said, you live in this world, but you don't become part of it. Explain how you would do that on a daily basis.
Okay.
Can you repeat?
A very wise person once said, you can live in this world without being part of it. How do you do that on a daily basis? To do that, we first have to understand, again, who owns the world, and therefore, what is our relationship with it. If we feel that we are owners, then we're acting in a false pretense, a false basis. And therefore our emotions will be very entangled with what comes in this world. If we understand that we're not the owners and we're not the controllers of what happens, then we have a built-in detachment. In other words, whatever may come our way is not really within our control. In the Gita, the Sanskrit word is used ahankara, which means a false sense of self. If we think we're controlling things, then the emotions that come with that can be very unwanted, like frustrations and disappointment. However, we recognize that we have a very limited control in this world. Then we can accept, okay, well, this is coming my way by some higher arrangement. It's very hard, you really can't be in the world and not of it, and yet not have God's presence in your life. The idea that there is a supreme controller who's greater than I am, there's a proprietor who's greater than I am, is indigenous to the idea of living a spiritual life. Spirituality without God is really just a mental exercise. But I have a friend in New Zealand who said, when you're talking about this Gita, don't use the G word, God, because people are immediately turned off by that notion. And with good reason. I mean, I grew up with the notion of God as being a very threatening person. And I better obey or else. That was kind of it. But if you obey, then you can do whatever you want. You just believe and obey, then this. So this idea of a coercive and threatening deity makes people uncomfortable with the notion of having a God-centered life. But when we understand in a more balanced way that God is not only the proprietor and the controller, but he's the friend. And he is looking on us with great compassion. And he is anxious for having a relationship, just as any parent would with an estranged child. Okay, the child is estranged of their own free will, nothing I can do about that. But whenever that child wants to reestablish that relationship, I'm ready. So this is how the supreme deity sees us. We're here, we are as free to be separate from him, but whenever we're ready to turn to him, then we can restore that relationship. And having that relationship enables us to see, oh, okay, this isn't my property, this isn't my drama, I'm going through things that I can't control, but I trust that whoever's controlling this has my best interests at heart. So this ties back into this notion of reincarnation. We are being spiritual entities in a physical body. We are going to confront our destiny when this body runs out. Then what's going to happen to us? So this is how God consciousness makes it possible to live a detached life in this world. That I'm going to go through things that I don't want, but it's not going to be forever. And if I choose, I can establish things that will last beyond the duration of this physical vehicle. So this is what yoga is all about. This is what the science of spirituality is all about. How to restore a friendly and loving relationship with the true proprietor of everything. And it's not a matter of dogma or belief. I saw a bumper sticker the other day. My karma ran over your dogma. A relationship with somebody is not just a matter of believing. Belief is based on experience. Belief is advanced. in spiritual practice. When we try out spiritual practices and get a genuine return from them, belief is a natural thing. Just like when you're eating and you feel full, it's not a belief. It's not just you counting how many calories. No, you feel satisfied. So in the same way, spiritual experience is the actual foundation for belief.
May I ask another question?
If that's all right, Shamakun, may I?
No,
Go ahead.
Go ahead, sure.
No, you go ahead.
No.
It's a follow-up.
Since you brought up reincarnation,
Uh-huh.
I was always under the premise that before we incarnate, we meet with our spiritual guides and there's lessons we need to learn in this life. So we pick the date, the time, the place, whatever, to incarnate and who our parents are going to be.
Huh.
And there's a lesson for us to learn in this life. Do you have that same perception?
Can you repeat?
Yes.
For the mic?
Sorry, Brian?
Bill,
Bill, I'm sorry. Bill was pointing out that in some traditions it is taught that you, before you're incarnated in this particular body, you choose the date, the time, the parents, because you're needing to learn certain lessons.
correct.
And so the purpose of this life is to learn those particular lessons in this particular incarnation. So is there something akin to that, say from the Gita or the Indian tradition that I'm studying and teaching? And the answer is no. I don't recall filling out a form personally. I probably would have checked some other boxes. If as far as having choice, but the idea of having lessons is very much consistent, yes. What those lessons are, though, may not be ours choosing, or even to our liking, because they are separating us from things that we might not want to be separated from, or imposing on us things we might not want to have imposed on us. So it's kind of like when you enroll in school, you commit to attending the classes, but you don't necessarily have a clear understanding of what you're going to be learning. In fact, if you did, there'd be no point in attending the classes, right? So there is a degree of expectation, and especially for a human being. I mean, we have so much more freedom than other souls that are in other types of bodies. Right? But at the same time, we have those same basic needs and propensities that lower or other species might have. Eating and sleeping and mating and defending. So we have this animal-like existence. Then we also have a superior intelligence. So that intelligence is meant to be awakened so that we'll get lessons to awaken our intelligence if our purpose is reconnected. What it comes down to living a spiritual life in the material world. What is our purpose? Are we trying to enjoy it, or are we trying to engage it in the service of its true owner?
Very good. Thank you.
Okay.
Two questions if possible, but the first one was in the beginning of your class, since your class is on living in this world, not being of it. You said that when you were working in ministry with some other religious groups,
Yeah.
and you didn't explain what you said to them when you met with them. And I was wondering if you could elaborate on that.
Yeah, our idea of helping people was to help people on the spiritual path deepen their experience, as opposed to helping those in physical need with their trauma. It doesn't mean we don't care, and we certainly do things to help others within the context of spiritual growth. But yeah, our students, in other words, were our main focus in helping them progress in their spiritual lives. That was the purpose of our ministry, as opposed to trying to help mankind physically. I did not try to explain that to them.
You didn't.
I didn't, because they kind of knew we were different. But I would help them in other ways. Like all of the ministries were experiencing a reduction of interest. All of them, very dramatic in some cases. just going down and down and down, the enrollment, the attendance at programs. And so they were talking about this. So I quoted my teacher and said, well, when you're selling diamonds, you won't have many customers. And the chairman thought, wow, that's deep. Let's think about that for a moment. So spiritual life, those people who are genuinely interested in spiritual life are like rare jewels in a material world. So giving a focus to them, they kind of understood, okay, that's where we were coming from. Okay, is that right?
No, that's wonderful.
Oh, I didn't repeat that, I'm sorry, but please, give me your second question, I'll be sure to repeat it.
More of a practical thing to see how you would handle this. So when I'm trying to explain reincarnation to people who are, immediately opposed to it, before I present the idea, I say something like, we think of things as being linear in this world. And then I said, but you can prove a theorem, but you can't prove the axiom. You have to accept the axiom, like in mathematics. But Einstein gave the example that the axiom is that parallel lines never intersect. But if the universe is curved, then they'll intersect. And then I give the example of like, the seasons are circular, the days of the week are circular, the rising of the sun, the setting of the sun is circular. How do you do it?
Okay, so in summary, you're giving an explanation about how to introduce people to the idea of reincarnation.
Right. Who are going to be opposed, like
you know are going to be opposed.
you know it. You just know.
You know they're not going to like it. So you give the example of Einstein saying the axiom of parallel lines are always parallel, but that comes into problem when you see the universe is curved. So in the same way, everything you're saying is cyclical. So therefore, why wouldn't life be cyclical? This is the way you introduce reincarnation to somebody who's skeptical.
Right.
Okay. Well, there's quite a few ways to approach it. You're asking some practical, like
Yes.
how would I present it?
Yes.
I always love the example of the car, because you get in the car and drive, and then you get to your destination and get out. So what is important, the driver or the car? The car and driver together can move, but when the driver's out, the car is immobile. So similarly, this physical body is animated by something non-physical. And it runs its course, and then when it runs out, then you get out. There is a lot of conjecture that if we combine the chemicals in the right way, we will get we will make cells that can replicate themselves. But although there's been a lot of talk and a lot of investment, it's never happened. From the Gita's point of view, it will never happen, because that which animates the body is different than the body. It can't be affected by fire, it can't be burned, it can't be drowned, it can't be suppressed in any way. It is that source of energy that animates the body from birth to death. So we change in the course of that lifetime. We change bodies so many times. This example from the Gita is also helpful. That most of the cells of the body have a very finite and short lifespan, a few years at most. And so essentially if you leave home at say 15 and come back at 25, you're essentially hauling in a whole new physical body. The old one is scattered throughout the universe somewhere, it's gone. But everybody sees, oh, you're back, I know you, I love you, I'm so happy to see you, and you're happy to see them. So what is it that's actually connecting? It's not the physical body, but it's the life within the body that is our identity. So because we're changing bodies repeatedly through this life, what makes us think that process is going to stop when this body is finished? So there's this logic. Ultimately, we cannot see and physically measure the soul. So therefore, if our epistemology is all based on what we can perceive, then we're going to be skeptics. And this is the great majority of society ever since the time of Aristotle. Science is all based on what you can measure. But there is a science of that which is not measurable, and that's spiritual life. And that's what is taught in the Gita, and really in all spiritual traditions in different ways. But that's a good way to say your body is changing. Like now I'm in my 70s, I feel like a 25-year-old trapped in a body that I don't deserve or didn't expect. But it's happening, I can't stop it. But there's a great deal of relief and joy in knowing that, yes, this physical vehicle of mine is not really who I am. So when this falls apart and that falls apart, like a lot of spiritual life is lowering expectations. Youth is full of expectations. Right? Like it said that when you're young, you have energy and time, but no money. And when you're middle-aged, you have money and energy, but no time. And when you're old, you have time, you have money, and no energy. So every step of the way, you're learning one of these lessons, right? These are the lessons of the physical body. So spiritual life is really sweet as we age for that reason. So this is another way people can come to appreciate reincarnation. If you're thinking your whole life, I'm going to die, I got to do this and this and that, to get that freedom of saying, oh, actually, I'm never going to die. This body's going to die, but that's not me. That's liberation. That's freedom. And with that comes detachment and freedom from the vicissitudes of this life, the incessant ups and downs. So this is what it means to live a spiritual life in the material world. Understanding that we're not the body, understanding we're not the proprietors, and understanding this God, this deity, is our friend. He's not out to get us. He's not waiting for us to screw up, send us to hell. And so my teacher was asked, do you have a concept? He was in England. He said, do you have a concept of hell in your religion? He said, yes, London is hell. They did not like hearing this from a former colonial representative. But the point is that you don't have to go to hell per se. We're already living in a hellish environment where we get sick, we don't want to, but we're forced to. We get old, we don't want to, but we're forced to. We die, we don't want to, but we're forced to. So this is a conditioned life which is foreign to our actual spiritual identity, because we want to live forever, and we want to be free, and we want to be happy permanently. And it's just not possible trying to live life as a physical body. So this is what I tried. Most people are not interested, but some rare people can understand and hear, and it's a special thing. But being a spiritual person doesn't mean I have nothing to do with these materialists. It just means seeing them in a different light. The real struggles are not the physical struggles that everybody goes through. The real struggle is, can I, in the course of my life, come to a stage of enlightenment? Come to a stage where I recognize my true nature. Come to a stage where I'm actually addressing the problems of my life and the challenges and learning the lessons of my life. Because human life is meant for this realization. I have a little farm, my wife and I manage, and when our cow gave birth a few years ago, it was amazing to see that calf was up on her shaky little feet within 30 minutes and nursing. Whereas our grandson, who was born at home, it took him like 2 months to get his head off the mat. So that's a little indication. What is this human body really meant for? We've got this gigantic head, right? This gigantic brain. This is the purpose of the human life that distinguishes it from the animal life. So these are points that are helpful sometimes in sharing these beautiful teachings of the Gita. Is that right?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So I think
There's one question on the chat that is related if there's time.
Okay, it said that the mind can only conceive what the seat can endure. So, if everyone's good for one more question. Okay. Please.
Okay, it's, how would you explain that the spiritual pursuit is not escapism and a luxury in this world which needs so much seemingly material work? Poverty, hunger, war.
How do we see spiritual life as not escapism, and especially in the context of such a crazy world?
Yeah.
Again, it comes back down to the question of how we can truly help people. Everybody needs food and shelter and clothing. But what will they do with that food and shelter and clothing? Will they just perpetuate a life of materialism, perpetuate a life of ignorance? Will they actually solve their problems, or will they have the same needs tomorrow? What is that biblical saying, or maybe Christian saying anyway, that you give a man a fish he can eat for a day, but you teach him to fish he can eat for a lifetime. So let's expand that a little bit. You can care for somebody temporarily, but if you can teach them how to solve their problems, you care for them for a lifetime. The problem is there won't be many customers for that kind of help. And so in the greater context of things, it looks insignificant. Looks like, oh, you're just teaching your sectarian religion. How is that helping the world? Why don't you do something practical? But when this awakening of spiritual life makes such a profound difference, let's look at it this way. Every saint in history has always dedicated themselves to teaching others in improving their spirituality. Many saints like Mother Teresa translate that into helping the needy. And that's certainly good. But in the ultimate analysis, is it going to stop them from coming back to another birth? So helping people solve the real problems of old age and disease and death is a great compassion. It takes a lot of compassion because most people are just not interested. Everybody's interested in getting food or shelter, and where possible we can give, but in the final analysis, do we really help people solve their deeper problems? So it's a lonely life of spirituality in a material world. That's a given too. If you're going to live a spiritual life, you're by definition going to be marching to the beat of a different drummer. And a lot of people won't understand or appreciate it. And is that our purpose, just to get some popularity and some following? My guru used to teach, he said that I could have, he had a relatively small number of followers, but he said I could have a lot more followers if I didn't ask people to stop taking drugs, which was very popular back in those days, and other things. Right? So the point is that genuine spirituality is not a cheap thing. It's not as easy, you could say, as solving people's physical problem. So I hope that helps. Okay.
For me, yeah.
Okay. All right, well, thank you so much for being here and for giving me this opportunity to share my life learning, my lessons, life lessons with you. I hope it was helpful, and happy to help be available to anybody now or in the future if I could be of any further service. Thank you.
Thank you.